and welcome to Sound Off with System One. I'm your host, Krista Kornchuk, and I'm here today with our panel of experts to talk to you about how to use AI to land your next opportunity. Before we get started, here are a few words about System One. System One is a leading provider of specialized, highly technical outsourced services and workforce solutions to critical infrastructure, technology, life sciences, and government sectors, putting more than 650 employees and 10,000 contractors to work in the United States, Canada, the UK, and Brazil. As you're tuning in today, please join us in the comments. Our marketing team will be monitoring them. Let us know where you're joining from and what industry you work in. And if you have any questions relevant to today's topic, we'd love to hear them. Before we get started, I'm going to have our panel of experts introduce themselves. They're also going to be sharing their hot jobs, which you can view by scanning the QR code or by visiting jobs.system1.com. Kristen, we'll start with you.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Kristen. I'm a clinical research recruiter. I sit with our Joel team, and my hot job today is going to be a clinical research coordinator sitting out of Augusta, Georgia. It is going to be a 6-month renewable contract, and phlebotomy is an absolute must-have.
Hey everyone, good afternoon. I'm John Jansen. I'm a staffing coordinator with System One out of Edison, New Jersey. My hot job today is for an assistant engineer on site in Newark, New Jersey. It is a 6-month contract role to assist with different acceptance work. It's Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5. It's paying $34.88 an hour. The role would basically be the owner side of engineering, supporting bus and vehicle programs, focused on reviewing designs, inspections, and acceptance testing. The requirements here for a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, or related disciplines, and exposure to transit vehicles, fleet operations, and transportation equipment.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Joey Miller. I'm an IT staffing director here at System One IT. My hot job today is an IT specialist. It's a direct hire position in Mechanicsburg, PA. It's a hybrid role. As the IT specialist, that person will be providing help desk support to end users, assisting with security and application administration, and delivering training, as well as providing support to corporate offices, managing maintenance systems, and providing help for installations. It does require a bachelor's degree, and the pay is up to $84K.
Perfect. And make sure you connect with our recruiters if you're interested in those roles. And without further ado, we're going to get started with our topic. We have a lot to cover. The first question from your seat as a recruiter: what's the most impressive way you've seen a candidate use AI in their search? Kristen, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think for me, it's going to be polishing your resume. So we know that throughout time, we're going to be updating our resume every couple of years, using it to do any formatting, fix any spacing, any attachments. That's one of the best ways to use it.
Absolutely. I think definitely for resumes is huge. And I think the most impressive thing I've seen lately is just using AI to prep thoughtful role-specific interview questions, to run through with AI and kind of a conversation, to have a mock interview, just practicing real interview questions tied to the type of work you do, helping to organize and communicate your background clearly, and really just building confidence before you speak with a recruiter.
Yeah, both of those are great. I think in addition to resume and interview prep, one of the coolest things that I've seen, it actually involves an agentic version of ChatGPT or any other ChatGPT, and it does some searching for you. So you can use a prompt along the lines of, show me 5 new postings for XYZ company. I want remote work. This is what I'm looking to make. It's completely customizable, and setting up that search as a daily prompt to bring you results will help you find a lot of recs without actually going out and searching for them. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Very cool. Thank you all for sharing that. And our second question: where do you think AI adds the most value for a job seeker? Resume writing, research, interview prep, or something else? John, we'll start with you.
For me, I really look at it like it's a major time saver, between all the things you might have to do in a given day, but also like particularly with a job search, just all the different moving parts, it can really just save you time with helping you quickly organize your thoughts and different materials you might need. It speeds up your resume writing and your research. It's especially useful when working under quick deadlines where you have to do something in the next half hour, you can boil down something that could take you a week in a very short period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the recurring things we'll hear is thought partner. Is what I always hear anyway. I think that exploring opportunities with AI is something that really excites me the most. I think it's kind of daunting to explore how we might be able to pivot into a next career path. So using AI as your thought partner to combine your skills, experience, and experiences with things that you might be, interested or passionate about, you can marry those two together and find some really cool opportunities that you might not have been aware of.
Yeah, and I kind of hit on a last question, but resume writing, I think, is one of the ways it can add value. So if you know that you're applying to a specific job, you can take your job description and your resume, put them into AI and say, help me make this or format this to be best fit for this role.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you guys hit the nail on the head there. And on the flip side, where do you see candidates over relying on AI in a way that actually hurts them? Joey, we'll start with you.
Yes, I see a lot of times candidates that are looking to merge their job descriptions, their resumes with the job descriptions for the role. I think this often leads the AI that they're working with to put in some skills on their resume that they don't necessarily have. So I can think of a couple instances in the last couple of weeks, even that we've had managers that have, questioned those skills and asked very specific questions, and it's very clear that the candidates don't have that experience, which almost always immediately disqualifies them from any kind of candidacy.
Yeah, I think with AI, there's a lot of input, like quick input, and whatever you get for output, people feel like that is what they should run with. And I just think that where I see issues is with candidates that don't add their own thinking. I mean, the thinking that you're adding into the AI that you're working with is really going to give it the substance to provide that answer for you. So you just ask it a question and expect it's going to give you the whole scenario, especially around job searching, interview, and everything we're talking about. Adding your own thinking into it and all the different nuances of what you're doing is vital to using AI.
Yeah, and to add on to that, if you're doing a mock interview prep and it's giving you answers, reading it word for word is definitely something that it's going to hurt you in the end. They want to see your own experiences, your own task, your own wording, and not something that's computer generated.
Yeah, absolutely. I think more people are going in using AI and not editing it. So make sure you set yourself apart and take that extra step. For our next question, networking is still one of the most powerful tools in a job seeker's arsenal. How can AI help someone network smarter, not just more? Joey, we'll start with you.
Sure. So I think most people think that AI helps you network faster. I would challenge that, and I think that it forces you to network a little bit smarter. I think if you're sending out a lot of messages and trying to connect with a lot of people, you're finding that the fewer messages that are more concentrated around what your prospect might be interested in, they'll almost always get answered a little bit more. So instead of sounding like a job seeker, you sound like, showing up like you can solve their problems. So being able to do that research and really hit the nail on the head when it comes to sending very pinpoint, conversations their way.
Yeah, I think for me, I do a lot of networking on LinkedIn with prospective candidates. So adding a note to my LinkedIn connection request will go a lot farther than me just hitting, I want to connect with you. And I will actually use AI to help me create a note that is personable to them, but also relevant to what I'm reaching out about.
Definitely. I think one interesting way to use it, especially around LinkedIn, is, everybody that you're reaching out to with a potential networking relationship is, if you will, it's kind of like a target. And so as you approach that target with your first initial message, you can work with AI to kind of track all that outreach that you did to a certain individual. And if you pick it back up down the road, AI could tell you a whole story about where you've been with this person or what commonalities you had throughout time. So I think that it really can help you track outreach as you modify how you should speak to your audience as well, with everything everybody else has shared. But tracking the story and being able to pull it back later in time could really help set you apart.
Yeah, I think that's a good call, John. I think a lot of people keep track of where they apply, but not necessarily their messages, and it can get very confusing. So I'm happy you mentioned that. My next question, how can candidates use AI to research a person before a networking conversation so they show up prepared and credible? Kristen, we'll start with you.
Yeah, one of the things that we do as recruiters is if you have an interview call that's set, we will actually include the manager's LinkedIn profile. So one thing that you can do is look them up on LinkedIn, plug in what their title is, the company, find out anything that's new in the news, like if there's a new drug that's hitting the market, anything that they want to highlight about the company it will be generated from AI. So using that in your interview is going to be a huge plus for you.
Yeah, I think I don't have a whole lot to add to Kristen's point there. I think that just making sure that you're doing your research, I think that AI is really kind of a substantial tool in being able to uncover research very quickly and put it into quick summary to help you prepare. So I think that's, she hit it right in the head.
Absolutely. I think, if you're going to research someone along the same lines of like a target or something like that, if AI understands your background, so if you do a really good job of explaining, all of your motives and your experience and what you're looking to do, it really can help connect the dots. So, it'll help you align your experience to the person you're trying to reach out to, develop some relevant talking points, and really just help you show up more prepared and relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. And there are some prompts that you can give AI to help AI understand more who you are and what you align with. So I encourage you to do that before, and it'll make you even stronger. The next question, when a candidate comes to you, what should they already know or have prepared, and where could AI have helped them get there? Joey, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so I think what I want candidates to have prepared is not necessarily a perfect resume. I want clarity. They should be able to explain who they are, what they do well, what kind of problems they solve, and what they want next. AI can be incredibly useful here if it helps them to kind of tighten their story, identify gaps, and prepare intelligently. But if they use it to sound polished without actually knowing themselves, it kind of backfires fast. So I think AI should improve self-awareness, but not, be used to fake it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think along the same lines. I mean, with AI today, there's really just no excuse not to be prepared. Whether all the things you cover, resume, cover letter, interview prep, everything. I mean, AI can just help you get there faster and with a more solid representation of how you'd like to enter the conversation. It really just raises the baseline, for what prepared looks like, I think.
Yeah, and to go off of both of those points, being able to explain some of the most common interview questions that you have, like what's a task that you do or what's something that is a challenge that you have, you can use AI to help you find the best way to answer that question while also still being personable about your actual experiences.
Absolutely. And we do have a question from our audience. It looks like I am able to pull this one up. I've been having some difficulties with the chat. How can we use AI to our advantage with resume crafting when AI is used predominantly to filter job applications? Is there a better way to format our resumes so they do not get rejected immediately? It's a great question.
Sure, I think I can partially take this one. I think it comes all back to using AI as a thought partner and not necessarily parsing things or merging them. I think you can always use AI as a thinking partner and then putting things into your own words rather than actually taking the snippet out of ChatGPT or Claude and posting that directly into your resume. I think if it's still your own words, but you're finding the ideas through ChatGPT, oftentimes it won't get filtered out by that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not entirely sure that AI is used predominantly just to filter everything out. I mean, it really probably in that capacity helps that person get to what they're looking for much faster. I mean, maybe it is used to filter out job applications, but that primarily always comes back to like, is this aligned with my audience? So if you're applying for a maintenance technician, I hope that you have some maintenance technician experience, and obviously that'll come through the recruiter that's looking for that type of candidate. So of course you can elevate your keywords, you can do different formatting, that all still stands. So I just think that's a great point, to bring up as well.
Yeah, I agree with both of them. I think exactly what they said is how you can still make your resume attractive to recruiters, but also having it be authentic.
Perfect. And how do you recommend candidates use AI to follow up after working with a recruiter, staying top of mind without being annoying? John, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I face this problem all the time and just over communication or under communication. So I like to use AI just with what message I'm trying to send out, and is it too much or too little, or is it really strategic for the person I'm talking to. So just dumping all of that information into the history of the conversation, it really kind of helps the message be poignant. So I think it really can help with that tying to your audience and your follow-up communication rather than just generic statements.
I think another way is using it as a timeline. So saying I had an interview this day, I had a phone call this day, I sent a follow-up this day, create a timeline for next week for a good time for me to reach out to a candidate. That way you're still getting your point across, you're still following up, but you're not doing it so often to where a recruiter's not going to respond to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to John's point, the biggest mistake candidates can make is following up with checking in instead of adding value. I think that's kind of what gets a little bit annoying is when folks follow up without, generic follow-ups that don't actually have any relevance to them. I think following up with sharing a quick insight, a project update, or something tied to the role of the company. So instead of just saying, "Hey, I wanted to follow up," there's a reason for them to re-engage. I think the goal is isn't to remind the recruiter necessarily that you exist, but it's to give them a reason to think of you.
I love that. Yeah, I think as recruiters, you guys get so many generic emails, so that's a great way to stand out. We have an audience question. How can you use AI to address a substantial employment gap in a way that will get you through ATS?
I think it's a pretty good question. This is all along the lines of what we've been saying. I mean, if you just use it as a thought partner for here is why I have a gap, and you could understand how might this be received, how should I approach this, and in what ways could I maybe be creative or rely on something I did during the gap. There's so many. Taking it in as a thought partner, I think just doing that exercise, you'll be able to answer that question and how it can help you parse all that out.
Yeah, I like John's answer a lot. And I think I want to preface this with, I don't think the AI application tracking systems are perfect. And I think there will be times where candidates that are really good and are being filtered out right now. So I think that's a technology that we're seeing that's evolving, but it's by no means perfect. And I think, unfortunately, there are some really great candidates that will be slipping through the cracks with a lot of these companies.
Yeah, and I think in terms of a gap, so you definitely want to address it if it's a substantial gap. And it's also going to be something that your recruiter is going to ask you too. But one of the things that you can do is plug your actual reason into AI and say, make this come across professional so I'm not oversharing too much. Because we don't want your whole life story. And, some things are personal, but you got to be professional about it. So being able to know how to answer that question when it does come up is something that AI can definitely help you with.
Absolutely. That was a great question. And our next question, there's a lot of fear that AI makes job searching feel impersonal. How do you keep the human connection alive when you're using these tools? Kristen, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so one of the things that all of us will do is no matter if you're applying for a job and you go through one of our AI screeners, we're going to be picking up the phone to give you a call. So you will hear my voice. Some people will actually see my face if we're doing a Teams interview. It's one of those things that's going to keep that human interaction in place, is that you will be talking to a real life person, not just an AI here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that I take this from the business development end of what I'm doing right now is I'm currently still writing handwritten notes to clients that I either would like to connect with or have connected with. And I think that's one way to really stay top of mind if you're trying. It's a little bit old school, but trying to stay top of mind and really make you stick out.
Definitely. I think keeping it human is super important. I mean, at the end of the day, the job search is still very human. I mean, this is just a tool to help you, really align all of your documents and professional portfolio and strategy and communication all around what you're trying to do. But at the end of the day, once you get to the dance, you're still the one, doing the dancing. So conversations still happen person to person. And I think, that stuff can make you confident to get you to the dance, and then you can sell yourself.
Absolutely. That pivots perfectly to our next question. What's one thing no AI can replicate when it comes to landing a job? The thing that's still entirely on the candidate. Joey, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so I really like this one because it kind of gives encouragement for the future for us as the human race versus the robots as well. There's still a very human element in hiring that AI cannot replicate, which is presence. How you show up in a conversation, how you listen, how you respond in the moment, your body language. That's what is still building trust with a lot of these hiring managers. AI can prepare talking points, but it can't carry the conversation for you or adjust in real time. At the end of the day, someone is deciding if they want to work with you, and that decision is still very human. I think as we move on in the AI innovation journey, being able to communicate and continuing to become even more valuable than it was previously.
Yeah, and to go off of that, personality. It's a computer is not going to be able to tell you how to answer a role or how to answer a question. That's something that you will always have to bring to the table, no matter what. So the one thing that AI will never be able to replicate is going to be yourself and how you present yourself.
Yeah, and I think along the same lines, just being professional and getting back to people on time. Like, what is your execution like and your responsiveness? I mean, AI can write you the perfect email back to that hiring manager, but if you send it a week late, that's on you. So I think that makes the point.
Absolutely. We have a couple audience questions I want to address. I'm going to paraphrase this one. So AI screening has so many keywords. Do companies allow paraphrasing of keywords to pass the AI stage?
Again, I'm a little on the fence about this just because I think that in the same respect, these tools are used on the recruiting side kind of in the same manner. They're not everything. They don't just, a candidate doesn't just apply and we'll let the tool take it. I mean, a human has to touch it because what you put on that resume might not tell me the entire story. And I have assumptions from my experience and understanding the industry and everything to maybe, you might meet 3 out of 5 skills. That doesn't mean I'm not interested in talking to you. I might uncover that you do have some of this experience and maybe it wasn't listed. So, it is a great tool to get you to try to customize your resume with the proper keywords and all that. I think that's step one. And then really just kind of, getting past the ATS systems. I mean, myself as a recruiter, I certainly rely on AI, but I'm looking at everyone's applications that, and going through them all. So that might just be a misconception about how it actually works.
Right. Like the AI screener is just something that is going to help us. We're still going to look at your resume for what you put into it. So even if a keyword doesn't pop up, sometimes we know that what you're putting in your resume is actually what we're looking for, whether it be a keyword that was listed or not. So we're always going to be looking at your full resume, no matter what.
Yeah, those are all great points. I would say if I had to give a prompt, I would say to use AI as a market mirror. So take your resume and a few roles that you're targeting and ask AI how you're actually perceived. Where are you a strong fit? Where are you not? And what questions a hiring manager would raise. Most candidates never do that, so they walk into conversations unprepared. And I think this gives a much clearer, more honest view and maybe some feedback you don't necessarily want to hear, but it'll be good for you to hear before you enter an interview process.
I love it. And I have another audience question. I think for those people who are using AI to create their resume, they want to know, is a Word document the best way to do so?
I think it really depends on the context. If you're applying to a job, I wouldn't say I'm necessarily so certain on which one is the best, but I can tell you that in emailing your resume to people, you would always want to have it in a PDF. I always talk about this with candidates. If you have a different version of Microsoft Word than I do, and you send me a Microsoft Word document, it normally upgrades that and it'll screw up your formatting. If you email to someone in a PDF, it's kind of like sending them a picture of your resume that's sort of universally able to be opened. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. And I think on the business development side, I see when these resumes are coming through, and I think most of the time, if not always, we're sending a final copy through as a PDF. So it lessens a layer for us as well.
Yeah, I think you can always start in Word too. If you're just more comfortable in Microsoft Word, you can always start there. And then when you go to save it and finish it, you can actually save as a PDF. So you can have both options available and ready to send. If, let's say, a client wants to have a Word document instead of PDF, you can have both ready to send.
Yeah, I would go as far as to say if depending on the system, it's hard to say in black and white whether a Word or a PDF would be better for your application because it depends on their systems and all that. But if you're concerned, I would just upload both of them. Then they have both copies. If it doesn't open one way, they can open it the other.
There you go. And our last question, what is one AI tool or prompt that every job seeker should try this week? Kristen, we'll start with you.
Yeah, we have gone over a lot of different ways to use AI for a job seeker. My biggest tip is use it as your personal admin. So put in AI that you're going to be interviewing or you're trying to go for this job. Help me out on an interview, make me feel more comfortable answering these questions. So just having a mock interview is one of my biggest things that AI can help you with.
Yeah, along those same lines, I think a good prompt would be to act as a recruiter that's reviewing my background. What concerns would you have? Just so you can get a third party, understanding of how it might be received in the market.
Yes. So circling back, I think it was our first or second question. I really like the agentic stuff right now. I know that a lot of those versions are paid versions, but if you have a tool that's searching, these parameters for you in the background and having it send you updates every day. So you have a snippet of 5 jobs that are sent to you, or companies that you might be interested, or opportunities that you might be interested in. I think it takes a lot of the manual search efforts out of that. And so it's a really cool aspect of what, agentic AI is actually capable of for me.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've gone over a lot of great tools here. So thank you all. That was fantastic. We're out of time, but I want to thank everyone that commented as well. And don't forget to follow System One on LinkedIn if you're not already. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can view previous Sound Off with System One episodes. Our next episode will be Friday, April 3rd at 2 p.m. and we'll be having a live Q&A. We'll see you then.